Welcome to this week's live Q&A session. We are just getting going here. Drop this in the chat. Welcome guys to this week's Q&A. Welcome guys. We are just getting going here. We are streaming live here on TikTok. We are streaming live on YouTube and Twitter and Twitch. So wherever you're joining us from, say hi. We will get going with the questions as they come in, guys. You guys know how this works. We talk personal finance, student loans, higher education, saving and paying for college. Wherever you guys want to go with it, we will go with it. I know there's been a lot of concern around the SAVE plan and the end of it, which you guys know we've been talking about here for years, not years, but months now. A lot of concern for Parent Plus loan borrowers, a lot of concern across the board, guys. So wherever you guys want to go, welcome. I'm seeing a bunch of people trickling in here on TikTok. Let me know where you guys are from. Claver Travel, Jake, Brittany, York, T-Rav, York Powers, currently 045K. Honestly, that's not much compared to what we usually see around here, but I know it's still stressful to handle any level of student loan debt. If you guys are joining us over on YouTube, say hi, drop it in the chat, leave a comment. Brittany, great question to start us off tonight. Is there a deadline to get out of SAVE? So as of now, there is no deadline. I don't know if you've watched our video on this from 2 days ago, but there's no specific deadline. Our rule of thumb has always been, and if you've watched any of our past videos, 99% of everyone in SAVE should be leaving SAVE between now and July of 2026. You should just be planning on that depending on your personal financial situation, whether IBR is the best choice, whether the RAP plan is the best choice. The only people that should be like pushing it to the extreme is people that can't afford either and are really trying to buy time to fix something else in their personal finances that will allow them to afford those plans. Rena, 95K. Woo, getting up there. That one's getting up there. That's got to be graduate school debt or a Parent Plus loan. You could be a Parent Plus loan borrower. Jake, since we're needing to switch from SAVE, does switching to other IBRs require consolidation? Jake, great question. No, switching repayment plans does not require student loan consolidation. And in fact, student loan consolidation can be bad for you because it can erase or actually lower PSLF credit, qualifying IDR plan credits. Do not consolidate. The only exception to consolidation is people with Parent Plus loans that are trying to access income-based repayment for the first time. Nobody else should consolidate. Nobody else should consolidate. Claver Travel. If income is going up next year, should we switch before year end? It's probably a good idea to, because right now, if you switch to an IBR plan, it'll pull your 2024 tax return, which was, that was a long time ago at this point in time. 12 months, right? And so you can ride that 2024 income for the next 12 months, and that could be a nice little bit of savings for you, depending on what your income is in 2025 or next year in 2026. So it's one of the reasons why we say that waiting is going to cost more people money than they understand. And it's because data and statistics tell us that most people, their income rises every single year, right? And so now you can use your 2024 tax return. Next year, you're going to use your 2025 tax return. If you wait longer, right, chances are your income's going to keep rising. And so, again, another reason why most people should be scooching on out. Elizabeth, Any news on PSLF buyback? Honestly, nothing really going on with PSLF buyback. We know it's taking over a year. They're barely processing the 2024 year-end ones. Like, there is really nothing happening on the buyback front. If you're thinking of PSLF buyback, there's definitely no reason to stick around and save because you're not saving any money at this point in time on buyback. And yeah, I'm actually a little worried about buyback because of the way the ruling was written. That repay is also nixed, right? And so are they going to calculate? I just don't know what they're calculating people's payments under at this point in time because we knew it wasn't save, it was repay previously, but now repay is nixed. So I don't know what's going to happen. And we always had this problem. No one has had a buyback processed in 2025 yet. We have seen buybacks processed from 2024 and from earlier periods of time. And that's how we know they do take your tax return. They calculate the lowest payment at each period because we've seen buybacks from 2020, 2019. People had other deferments that qualified. But the question is what they're going to calculate under. Country Girl. Yep, that's a great example, right? So if you're close to retirement, but Country Girl, realize that your time is ticking, like you better be retiring like January. If your income is lower in the future, you can ride it out a little bit longer if you think your income is going to be lower in the future. Reno, if you switch to IBR now, but find out that wrap is better, will we be able to switch to that? I'm guessing that's what you mean. Yes, you can. Just realize that leaving IBR does capitalize your interest. It's the only payment plan that does. And so if wrap is the better choice for you, I would just wait to go right to wrap. I wouldn't do anything in the middle of that. If you don't know what the better choice is, we have our calculator right here. You can go to our wrap calculator and run the numbers because you can know your wrap payment as of right now based on it. With that being said, guys, we are off to a strong start. You guys are coming hard today. I love it. Coming fast. If you guys are just joining us, please like, subscribe, and follow. Tap that screen. Give those hearts. My name is Robert. I'm the founder of The College Investor. We do education and personal finance news. This is what we've done for, 17 plus years now. Myself, my team. This is what we do here at The College Investor. Education and personal finance and how they click together. We are streaming tonight on TikTok, and we are also on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. So if you want to go on the big screen, you can find us on the YouTube channel as well. And we'll see your comments over there as well. What do we got here? We got Sydney. Can the government change my save plan without permission? Absolutely they can, Sydney. So when you signed your student loan agreement on page 6, there's a very big black bold box that says amendments to the Higher Education Act can change your loan terms at any time, and you might even lose things that you might have had when you signed up and took this loan. And so with the SAVE plan specifically, it's killed in like 4 different ways, or 3 different ways. 2 courts, regular court, appeals court, now this settlement agreement, and then Congress also passed the law to officially nix SAVE. And so SAVE is gone. The question is what they can do to move you automatically or not. So if you watched our YouTube video yesterday, negotiated rulemaking is required to automatically move you. This is how you got into SAVE if you were on the repay plan before. There was negotiated rulemaking. They created the rule. They said everyone in repay is in SAVE. That's how it happens. So if they want to automatically move everyone from SAVE to another plan, negotiated rulemaking will be required to say people here are going here. However, the other scenario is they just say SAVE is toast, which could also happen. They still have to do the negotiated rulemaking per the settlement agreement, and you can always read the PDF if you don't want to trust some guy on the internet. We link to primary sources here at the College Investor. We don't just make shit up. So with that in mind, they could just say, we're done, and they give you a period of time for you to choose your own plan. I have a hunch that's how they want to go about it. We'll see what happens with the negotiated rulemaking. I'm guessing, though, they're going to want you to proactively choose. And I also think on the secondary side is at the end of that timeline they give you, they're going to send you down the path of delinquency and default. Because while it's not ideal, it's very easy for the government to collect money in collections from people. So you can kind of play a catch-22 there. Casey, if you join IBR, can you join RAP later? Yes, you can. Which is better? Oh, I saw your comment, Casey. Which is better for PSLF? Honestly, RAP or IBR are your two PSLF eligible plans. The better one is the one that has a lower monthly payment for you. So go on the calculators. Whichever plan is giving you the lowest monthly payment, that's the best one for public service loan forgiveness, because your goal with public service loan forgiveness is to pay the least amount legally required by law to maximize your forgiveness. Honeyroo, catching up and learning, can you explain the need to switch from the SAVE plan? Yes, Honeyroo. So if you haven't checked on your loan since 2024, the SAVE plan was created by the Biden administration by executive action. It wasn't passed by law. A bunch of states sued and said, you can't do that by executive order. Well, executive action, really. It oversteps your authority. And so the courts blocked it. And then the court said, yeah, they're going to issue an injunction because it's likely that they did overstep their authority. It's been tied up in the courts. And then this summer, with the One Big Beautiful Bill, Congress, we say, solved the SAVE problem. And Congress actually just passed a law, an official law, that says SAVE, ICR, Pay, all those plans related to it, they're gone. And the only plans moving forward will be IBR for existing borrowers, the RAP plan, and the standard plan. So here we are this week. The settlement is finally like in print. We can see it. The judge is expected to sign it on Monday, the 15th. That's the 15th, right? Yep. And basically, we knew it was dead. This was just really the final nail in the coffin. And so SAVE doesn't exist as a repayment plan as far as the government's concerned. The question is what are you as an individual going to do? And so you really have a couple choices. I can switch to IBR or standard plans now. I can wait till RAP comes, or I can wait for the government to figure out if they're going to tell me to move faster, slower, or move me automatically. We don't know that part yet, right? We don't have an end date. We do know that this is coming. Most people, I've said this over and over and over and over again, most people should be leaving the SAVE plan. They should have, a lot of people should have left already, especially if you want to be wealthier 5 years from now. Like, you're just costing yourself time, money, potentially higher payments, slower path to student loan forgiveness. There's a lot of bad. There's not a lot of good for staying. There are reasons to stay. I'm not dismissing it, but that is how we got here. And that is why everyone's personal financial situation is a little different. And people are trying to decide what's best for them. Do I go to IBR now? Do I go to RAP in July? Do I figure out paying off other debt and my other bills because one of those is coming and I'm trying to milk this thing as long as I can to fix my finances so I can afford them? Those are kind of the scenarios that a lot of people are grappling with and trying to navigate through the end of the SAVE plan. Holly, welcome back. I'm glad that you are officially following me now. That is wonderful. Devin, do you have any update on IBR and when they're dropping the financial hardship requirement? Great question. Studentaid.gov says December of 2025. That's the best I got for you. We're in middle of December of 2025. And as of literally an hour before this, it's still there. People aren't able to apply. So I don't have a good update for you. It's supposed to be coming anytime now. I'll also tell you that the student aid estimator is not accurate, still not calculating financial hardship correctly. And they don't have an RAP calculator, right? So you can find calculators on our site, but no, the partial financial hardship thing is still there. Sydney, I don't know quite what you mean that you went back in January and you went into forbearance on your IDR plan. If you want to drop a follow-up question, I'll get there. Anthony, can it last until 2028? It is a possible outcome. That is what the One Big Beautiful Bill says is the final timeline. That would be the absolute limit. So the one thing you have to realize with negotiated rulemaking, or NEGREG, is that NEGREG fills in the holes that the law doesn't have. And so you can't change the law or override something that Congress explicitly put into law, but it's designed to fill in the holes that are not in the law. And the law says as late as 2028. Doesn't mean that NEGREG can't make that July 2026, but they can't go past June 30th of 2028. And one of the things in the settlement agreement is that they mentioned like 7 times that they're going to try to follow the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which is what we kind of expected, right? All of these things kind of went hand in hand. The reason why they kept delaying the court ruling is because they knew the One Big Beautiful Bill was going to pass. And that the One Big Beautiful Bill was officially killing SAVE via legislation, which is very clean. No more executive orders. Executive orders are what keep getting everybody in trouble. Remember, if we go back to like second grade on how a bill is made, Congress passes the bills, President executes the bills, and then the Supreme Court's there to just see if what they did was legal in doing that. And so when Congress says we're making a new repayment plan, we're ending a repayment plan, and they pass it, that's better and more legal than executive order. So 2028 is still a possibility, not necessarily the most likely possibility. But again, I can see scenarios where they let you flail. And honestly, people staying, if you're staying until 2028, I don't see, like, I literally have been doing personal finance for 20 plus years and student loans for 20 plus years. I don't see a scenario where that benefits you in the least. Like, if that's you and you literally don't see any other path forward, like, shoot me a DM, because like something's wrong with the rest of your financial life that you can't solve in 2.5 years. Like, we need to figure that one out. Over on YouTube, my AGI for 2025 will be lower than for 2024. Do you think I can stay on the SAVE plan until I file my 2025 tax return? You know, like I said in our video earlier, January and February are probably going to be the negotiated rulemaking session. So they're probably not going to like make that the end date to get out, right? I think it's more likely that the end dates are going to be in when the wrap comes out, or maybe a little grace period beyond that. So yes, I do think you can file your 2025 tax return, especially if you file right away in January or February. And then you could use that for your student loan payment next year. And that is a savvy thing to do. Remember, guys, you can lower your adjusted gross income, 401k, 403b, HSA contributions, IRA contributions, save for yourself, lower your student loan payment as you go. Fantastic thing to do. Holly, you might still have that option to stay until June and July. We don't know. I think that you can plan that scenario out, and then just, if there's an audible called, you got to deal with it. But I think it's very possible that you can definitely do that. Budget my time. In Save now, but had a drastic income decrease. Should I switch now or wait for my taxes? Hey, that's so funny because I just answered that over on YouTube. You can file your taxes, but remember, you can also use the alternative methods to certify your income. For example, pay stubs, things like that. The problem with using pay stubs is that it uses your gross income, not your net income. So if you're doing things like maxing out your 401k, it's not going to benefit you. But if you're not, and your income's just lower and your gross income's lower, you can use your pay stubs too. The tax return is just the best. So going back to what we said just a second ago, you know, I don't see a scenario where in like 6 weeks you're like having to be out. I see it maybe like in March at the earliest, but that's going to be the start of this. Like, there's just no logistical way they're going to do it that fast. So I think if you file your taxes pretty early on, January, February, you should be fine to use your 2025 tax return to choose a payment. Anna says, married filing separately for repayment, worth it, including the deductions? This is a big math problem, Anna, and it's more of a tax problem than it is a student loan problem. And what you need to do is when you run your taxes here next month in January, you need to do all the math, get your taxes done, and then see what your taxes would be filing jointly, see what your taxes would be filing separately, because you're going to pay more in taxes filing separately. Then you take those two numbers and you go to the student loan calculators and you see what it changes to your student loan payment. And if you save more in your student loans than it costs you filing taxes, file separately. And what I mean by that is, let's say you file separately, but it raises your tax bill $5,000 a year, which it very easily could. It's not necessarily a cheap thing to file separately. And then you go over to your student loans and it lowers your student loan payments by $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. So even though you paid $5,000 more in taxes, you saved $6,000 on your student loan payments. You're ahead $1,000. That's a good idea. Go for it, right? Saved $1,000. But very easily true, raises your taxes $5,000. But what if it only lowers your student loan payment by $100 a month? Well, then you are going to be in the hole like $4,800. That is not a good idea to file separate. And everyone's situation for taxes is so different. It is literally a 50-50 crapshoot on whether it makes sense to file jointly or separately for your student loan payments. And honestly, Anna, you got to reassess this every year because the tax rules keep changing. Again, it's not as much of a student loan question as it is of what your taxes look like, what kind of deductions you're getting, things like that. And so hopefully that helps give you some clarity in how to think about it. And the sad part is a lot of tax professionals and tax preparers don't know this stuff. So you got to be the one that proactively asks them. I need my numbers, filing jointly, filing separately. You take those numbers, go run your student loan payments, and then come back, and then you guys can have a more informed conversation about it. Lily, I want the lowest monthly payment. Don't we all want the lowest monthly payment? Is it worth it to consolidate? You should never consolidate your student loans. Like, I wish the consolidation option wasn't even available on StudentGov, honestly. Nobody should be consolidating their student loans with the exception of Parent Plus loan borrowers. And Parent Plus loan borrowers after June 30th of next year shouldn't be consolidating their student loans either. Nobody should be consolidating their student loans anymore. It's irrelevant and it will hurt you more than it will help you. Lily, what's going to give you the lowest monthly payment? Today, that answer is the IBR plan. Starting in July of 2026, it could be the RAP plan, the RAP plan. Those are your two options, IBR, RAP. Run the numbers, calculators in the bio, whatever gives you the lowest payment, that's the one that you want. Clabber Travel, 24 income was 35K, 25 income is 70K. Hell yeah, you should be doing IBR right now and getting it done because your income's double this year. So use that old income. You're gonna have if your income is 35K, you're gonna have a $0 IBR payment for the next 12 months. Like, that's a no-brainer. And this is where, guys, this is a prime example, and I'm not trying to be mean to Clabber Travel here, but this is someone that should have done this back in June or July, because then they would have rolled it for a while and then they could have used their income again, still would probably be lower than 2025. And like, you could have been making forward progress on your student loans so much sooner. Honeyroo, I appreciate you. I hope you follow. This is what we do here. Alex, switching from Save. Pay was over $100 cheaper than IBR. Any negatives besides it ending? No, Pay is a fantastic option, except it's going to end in late 2027 or early 2028. I don't even think you're going to get a full, I guess you get late 2027 is 2 years. So yeah, you would get 2 years in that. Realize if it's cheaper than IBR, I'm guessing that means you took a student loan between 2011 and 2015. 2014, anyways. You're in this weird gray area. After that, you're going to have to go to IBR or the RAP plan, and it's going to be a longer timeline and more expensive payment for you, which is annoying. Megan, do I think they will kick us out of Save before RAP comes out? You know, Megan, again, we don't know. It could happen. Like, I can't tell you that is a non-zero possibility because it could very well happen. Do I see it as likely? I don't. But they could. Like, they could absolutely. That would be a dick move, but they could totally do it. Don, immense debt and homeless, but I want to attend SMU with no financial aid or scholarships. Don, you need to fill out the FAFSA, and then you might be able to unlock yourself with financial aid. I don't know if that's necessarily the best path you want to go forward, because if you are not in a situation that you're able to nail your studies, there's also a very high risk that you fail out and you find yourself in more debt and in a worse situation. I would really encourage you to address some of the structural issues that are holding you back: homelessness, job, start getting on a financial footing, get some of those really, Maslow's hierarchy, like get those base level needs done. And then you can start looking at things like continuing your course of education. It's not a great answer. I know you don't want that, but I also think about your long-term well-being, not necessarily these short-term aspirational goals. I would like to get your shelter in place and then go see you get a job. Go work at a large employer. Maybe those large employers will also help continue your education at no cost to you. I think of things like Walmart, Target, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A. All of these large companies pay for school for free for people. You can go get a bachelor's degree for free. So get on your financial footing, Don. I got faith in you. Nick's World. If I filed for bankruptcy, is it possible to get rid of the student loans I just took out? Nick, student loans are forgivable in bankruptcy, but you're not going to get them discharged in bankruptcy, especially if you just took them out. Here's why people don't get their student loans forgiven in bankruptcy generally. I want people to realize it is completely legal and possible to, but you have to go to a judge and you have to show the judge that your student loans are an undue financial hardship. And what that means is that you can't afford to pay them under any circumstances. But then the judge is going to say, well, what's your monthly payment? And you have all these IBR options that we're talking about: income-based repayment, RAP, and your payment could be $0 a month if you don't make any money. So when the judge is like, why should I discharge your loans in bankruptcy when your monthly payment is zero? It's not an undue hardship. And this is why people don't necessarily get their student loans forgiven. And then if you get into situations where you're disabled, there's disability discharge and there's things like that. So it's very hard to prove that your student loans are an undue hardship because of things like income-driven repayment plans. Batty, I submitted an IDR application in February and I haven't heard anything. Batty, you were never going to hear anything on that application because your application is never going to be processed. So you filed before April. The April applications are not going to be processed and they are probably thrown away at this point in time. And you need to fill out a new IDR application using the new online form that launched in May. So if you go to studentaid.gov, fill out the form, make sure you do everything digitally. Link your tax returns, approve your spouse if you're married, and that should be processed in 3 to 7 days. All right. Sam, the latest. Oh, this is a great question from Sam here. You guys really want to hack things because I know you guys love hacks. I don't know if you're going to be able to wait around in the SAVE plan this long, but you could use your tax return. This is all hypothetical, guys, but you could use your tax return all the way until October of next year if you file an extension on your taxes and you don't file your 2025 taxes until October of next year. And even then, there's a little processing time, right? But you could ride that out for quite a bit as long as you file an extension on your taxes. But the question is will you be able to ride out that long? I don't know. So something to think about, Sam. Oren, I'm 119 certified qualifying payments. Oren, man, you need to switch to IBR. Yes. I wish you would have been on my live in June, July, and we would have been done with it. But yes, Oren, switch, man, switch. Get done. I promise you, it will be one of the most happy days of your life when you see those green banners. Just switch. 2608, welcome back. I love seeing regulars here. Go into repayment in 1026. Will I stay on pay until wrap? If so, 3/4 of the way, I am switched. I don't really know what you're saying, 2608 TLS, but yeah, just stay on pay if you are happy and the pay is lower than the wrap plan. If pay does not become lower than the wrap plan, switch to the wrap plan. That's it. Liv, when does ICR end? ICR is going to end technically June 30th of 2028, but logistically, what we've heard from our contacts at the loan servicers is we expect enrollment in ICR to end in the fall of 2027, and we probably are going to start seeing you have to move in early 2028. Just logistically, right? They got to get you out. So you got 2 years in ICR. Liz, I would also encourage you to run the numbers, not to say that ICR isn't the lowest repayment plan, but it's generally rare to be the lowest repayment plan. I've seen it. I saw one just a couple days ago, but double check those numbers. Katrina, I filed my taxes jointly this year. Can I try to wait to move to a new plan after I file separately? You can. Like we just talked about, if you file your taxes in January, February, I think that is fine. I don't think they're going to force you to move that quickly. I also don't think they're going to be able to let's just we can play this out. I love the hypotheticals, guys. Let's play this out. Let's say they give everyone a 30-day deadline, which, let's be honest, they're not. The judge doesn't even sign the order until Monday on December 15th. You really think they're going to give everyone like 30 days over like Christmas and New Year's? They already have 1 million backlog IBR applications. Like they wouldn't have a chance to process any of that. So that's why there's going to be time. They're going to have to create communications. They're going to have to email and contact you. Like it's going to be a thing. It's not going to be a fast thing. It's going to happen, but it's going to be a slower moving thing over the next few months. So you'll probably be fine. Oh man. Sorry guys, when I tap the screen, it jumped past like 20 comments. So we will go back and we will make sure we didn't miss anything here. And if you guys are just joining us, please like, subscribe, and follow because that goes a long way. All right, Sean, I see you here. My PSLF should hit 120 next August. Should I hold out for save and try to buy back? Sean, you get no benefit from buyback at this point in time. So I keep seeing this question over and over and over again. And so I want people to understand that your buyback is calculated in 12-month increments, right? And so, oh man, of course I lost you there, Sean. If you're doing save, like we're only talking save here, you start in July of 2024, and then June of 2025 would be the first period that you get to buy back. And it would be at the lowest payment you had in that period. As of now, they're calculating that as repay. If you saw me at the beginning of this live, I worry a little that they might not even do repay. It still might be IBR. We'll see what happens because of this court ruling, right? But regardless, this period, the one we're in from July of 2025 to June of 2026, is whatever you're supposed to be paying right now under IBR or pay, because it's the lowest payment plan legally available to you today. So you continuing to wait and save is not mathematically beneficial for you at all at this point in time, and it actually increases your risk from a behavioral finance perspective that you're going to have a big ass check to write, and it's just getting bigger. And instead of making small payments all along and having a smaller check to write, like it's just going to be bigger. And I've already seen people not be able to pay their buyback, and so it's like that one makes me sad that you can't afford to buy back, and now you were hoping to, and you waited a year for it to process. Like, don't do it, Sean. I mean, still do the buyback, but like get on a payment plan now, get those 12 months of payments, and then buy back a little bit. And you can even race it to see which one's going to be faster, processing the buyback or just getting it done. Jilly James, hit 120 in February 26. Do I need to switch or can I apply for buyback? Well, Jilly, you just heard my thoughts on that one. I would personally switch. I also think that you have to do the math on the delta of what your buyback's going to be versus what you are going to pay just doing it monthly. And then remember that your buyback is going to take 14 months. I don't know, probably 12 months, 14 months. It's taken 12, 13 months right now. So my guess is you're going to be into it for a long time. Cassandra, will I notice a decrease in my principal If I stay consistent with my payments, I owe 128K. Cassandra, you'll see your principal go down if you're on a standard repayment plan. The standard plans, standard, extended, graduated, fully pay off your loan over the period of time. And so you will see it go down. Income-driven repayment plans, it's based 100% on your income, and it may or may not put any money towards your principal. So that's something to keep in mind. The new RAP plan that comes out in July of 2026, same thing, it's an income-driven plan, but if you don't make any progress on your principal, the government's going to take $50 off your principal every month that you make a qualifying payment. Evan says, can I trust the student loan calculator to give me an accurate picture? I feel like you guys should answer this in the comments, but they're pretty far down now. Evan, the calculator on studentaid.gov is not updated for partial financial hardship requirement. It is not updated for the RAP plan. And it does weird things on your forgiveness timeline. It does not take into consideration what you paid already on your loan, like if you're changing plans. So be mindful of that when you use it. From an actual payment perspective, it'll make a fine payment for you, but it messes up what you're eligible for and your repayment count timeline. Live ICR ends in June 30th of 2028, but like I said, they're probably going to kick you out in the beginning of 2028 if you're already in it. So 13 Livings, I'm doing the lowest monthly payment. It says something about graduated payment over the next 10 years. 13 Livings, realize the graduated plan is like this. And that final $4,000 payment is not forgiven. You don't get any forgiveness on graduated. You start here at $20 a month and your payment skyrockets. I would tell you that most people hate the graduated plan for that reason, because you actually, it really sucks your last year or two. So if you're looking for something that's low cost and affordable, it'll work for a little bit, but it's going to start getting pretty ugly pretty fast, 13 Livings. Cassandra, absolutely it's possible to pay off your student loans. Most people do. 50% of borrowers pay off their student loans, and the other 50% get them forgiven or are in collection. So there's a lot of reasons why they don't. Zigster, will PSLF take longer under wrap? No, PSLF is 10 years. They run in tandem, right? PSLF is like its own little, I call it a side bet. People kind of like that. So it's a side bet. You're just trucking along here on your income driven plan, and PSLF is doing its own thing over here. They're completely separate. Sunshine says, is it possible to file my income tax return in January? The IRS legally says you can file your tax return January 1st. But practically, you're not going to probably be able to file your tax return until February, if that at the earliest, maybe even March. Your W-2 is not going to come to the end of January. 1099-R is not going to come until January or February. And I don't think the IRS is going to even open e-file this year until President's Day or right before President's Day. It's going to be a very late tax filing season this year. I think they're not going to start until February. That's what our hunch is. The IRS has not officially announced that, but we're hearing rumors. Honey Roo, my payments begin in late 2028. Could that change? Yes, honey. There's no way you're not going to make payments until 2028 at this point in time. And if you leave Save, you're going to start making payments again in 30 days. So when you're ready to resume your payments on either IBR or RAP, it's starting. Cassandra, pay as you earn is a fantastic plan, except it's going to end in 2028, just like ICR. So if pay as you earn is the exact same as IBR, just choose IBR. Marco, will RAP be better than IBR if pursuing PSLF? Marco, the only way you can assess that is to go run the calculators. Both IBR and RAP count for public service loan forgiveness. And the best one is whichever gives you a lower monthly payment. That's the only answer to that question. And only you can figure that one out by running the calculators and seeing which one gives you a lower monthly payment. Elizabeth, what if we request to switch from Save to IBR and they never respond? Will they force you to another plan? Well, I'll answer part two is, will they force you to another plan? We won't know what that looks like until they announce it from the Department of Education and what the negotiated rulemaking looks like. But if you try to switch from Save to IBR, they're processing these applications in 3 to 7 days. You will not hear anything. It will just happen. So just be mindful of that one, Elizabeth. Rena, thank you for joining us here. We've been doing this for 17 years. This is what we do at the College Investor. We talk about the intersection of personal finance and education. And it's really funny because I've been doing this since 2009. My team's been doing it even longer than I have. I think a lot of people in America don't realize how much their education and money is all jammed up until you start thinking about student loans and financial aid and paying for college and saving for college and 529 plans and all the things, financial literacy for young adults, all the different things. And so this is what we do here. I don't do college admissions. I don't help you figure out how to get into Princeton. That's not my thing, but we can help you pay for it. We can deal with the student loan stuff, help you save for college. That's what we like to do here, the money side of things. User, is there a cap on payments for IBR versus RAP, like 10 or 15% of your income? So IBR is calculated as either 10 or 15% of your discretionary income. And there is a cap. The cap on IBR is whatever you would be paying under the standard repayment plan. The RAP plan is based 1% to 10% of your adjusted gross income. So they use different numbers. The RAP plan has a minimum of $10 a month, and the RAP plan has no cap on what your monthly payment could be. So if you're making $500,000 a year, your payment's 10% of that divided by 12, yada, yada. You'll probably pay off your loans pretty quick. B, will the Save Plan forbearance count for PSLF? So B, the Save Plan forbearance does not directly, this is key, directly count for PSLF. It doesn't count now. It doesn't directly count for PSLF. You're kind of just fluttering out there. You can buy back the months in the Save forbearance. But again, as we talked about, you're buying them back at your lowest monthly payment, which right now would be IBR or pay, so there's no reason to stay in Save. But it does not directly count for it. So if you're going for PSLF, I have to ask, why are you still in the Save forbearance? Kobe, student loan and collections, any tips? Yes, Kobe, get out of collections, and here's how. The best way to get out of collections is to rehabilitate your student loans. However, it takes 9 monthly payments that you have to agree to, and if you screw that up, they're going to put you back in default. And the reason rehabilitation is the best is because they'll take the default off your credit report, so it helps your credit a little bit, it unlocks some better options for you, and then you get on an income-driven repayment plan. If you can't wait and you don't care about the default, you can consolidate your loans immediately, get on an income-driven repayment plan, and they'll resolve that issue for you. Those are your two options. Kobe, get out of default now because they are garnishing your wages. They're going to take your tax return this spring. You lose more money being in collections than you ever would repaying your student loans every day of the week. Paris Pocket Traveler, 7 payments left on PSLF. Well, you better darn be on IBR or pay as you earn right now, getting that done. 2608, I read they'll automatically move us into RAP. T608, there's no way that they'll automatically move you into anything because that has not been decided yet, and it's only one of 2 options. That is an option, and we'll find out if they're going to pursue that option when they do the negotiated rulemaking. But anyone who says that can't validate that with anything because it's not true yet. And again, you could read the settlement agreement and you can see this for yourself. The other option is they say, we're just canceling Save and you pick a plan yourself. We're not moving you. Those are the 2 paths that they can choose, and we don't know which one they're taking yet. So, Nurse Shelley, I was in PSLF and repay, switched to Save, no longer work for a nonprofit. Suggestions. IBR, pay, or an RIP plan, just pick the lowest plan and start making progress on your student loans, Nurse Shelley. There's no real option there. Both of those options, though, do leave the door open for public service loan forgiveness. So if you work for a nonprofit, do anything like that again, the door's open there for you. Welcome, guys. If you're joining us, we are on both TikTok and YouTube tonight, and we always have some followers on Twitch. I love that. So whether you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment. I will see the comment and we can answer it. Or if you're joining us over here on TikTok, I will see it. I see I have 37 messages to go, so I will get there. But we'll keep talking about this. B, I am in SAVE right now, but I'm in school deferment. What should I be doing? B, you should be crushing school, getting the best grades you can, setting yourself up for a great job after graduation, and then 6 months after you graduate, you pick a repayment plan. Don't worry about your student loans at this point in time. All right. Claver Travel says, since I need to go to IBR, will the backlog of IBR applications mess me up? If you do everything automated, link your taxes, allow access to your spouse's return, you're not trying to do any other old documents, which you're not because you're trying to use your 2024 tax return, it should process within 3 to 7 days. A lot of the backlog, which I think a big part of that's going to get deleted now that this lawsuit's been settled, they're going to delete all, like probably half of those applications. And the other half are people that are trying to use pay stubs and they require like a human to look at it. If you submit it all electronically, it'll get processed very quickly because it's all automated. If you're uploading PDFs or trying to use your pay stubs, it will take longer because some person's going to have to look at it. B77, that's awesome for you. You need to get on a repayment plan too. Liv, hi, for IBR, can you use your last year's taxes to calculate your IBR payment? You will use the last tax return you filed, Liv. So as of right now, for most people, that should be the 2024 tax return because no one's filed their 2025 ones yet. And then honestly, Liv follows it up with additionally, last year's income was lower. No, you don't need to report the increase. You enjoy your lower payment for 12 months. And then remember, when you certify next time around, it's going to show your higher income. So your payment's going to go up. But that's why it's so key because you can lock in a year of payments using your old tax returns at this point in time. And then you're just going to be able to ride that out into the future. T True says, what if I want to pay off it all today? Are they going to take any off the loans? No, they're not, T. One, if you can pay off your student loans, I've never, ever, ever met anyone that's ever regretted getting out of student loan debt. Pay it off, go live your life, be debt free. The government is not allowed to give you a discount. Your student loan is actually owed to the US taxpayer and via Congress, and they have very strict laws on settling that debt. And they do not give you any discounts on that kind of thing. I'm between standard and IBR. IBR is probably going to give you the lower payment. I did IDR 2 weeks ago. Do I have to renew with the new tax file? No, Jimmy's, you will do it again in 12 months. So when you file your taxes in February, March, whenever you file it, your next IDR is going to come up in November or December, right? Because 12 months from now, and it'll use your tax return that you file next year. You don't need to like amend it. You get to ride out your 12 months of payments based on your old income. Cassandra, I made my first student loan payment tonight. Cool. Sherry, what's the difference between ICR and IBR? Great question. So they're all income-driven repayment plans. Remember, there's 5 income-driven repayment plans if we're still counting SAVE. IDR is the big overlapping one, income-driven repayment. We have IBR, income-based repayment. It's based on 10 or 15% of your discretionary income. ICR is based on 20% of your discretionary income, but it has some weird things like a 12-year rule in there. Pay as you earn, it's based on 20%. Man, is it 20? No, 15% of your discretionary. No, what is it? I'm getting confused at this point in time. 15% of your discretionary income. That's what it is. No, 10%. It's 10% like IBR. Man, it's late. And then we had SAVE, and then we have the upcoming WRAP plan next year. ICR, Well, Save is dead. ICR and Pay are going away in 2028. So really, IBR is the only income-driven repayment plan that's going to carry forward into the future. And the WRAP plan is going to join it for new borrowers. Disciple Horizon says, is there any idea on when they'll take the financial hardship off IBR? And we said this earlier, studentaid.gov says December of 2025, and here we are, it's not off yet. They still have half a month to go, so we don't know on that one, Disciple. Cassandra, how did I get into this? Unintentionally, I started writing about personal finance back in 2009 because I wanted to teach people how to make money and build wealth really early. I also had my own student loans. I graduated with $43,000 in debt. I also had my own drama with FedLoan, right? So if you guys remember, FedLoan used to be a loan servicer. Well, back in the day, they screwed up my auto debit and like tried to say I was late on my student loans, but I was already doing this personal finance thing. So what did I do about it? I wrote about it and I shared my story. And it was one of my first stories that ever went viral way back in like 2010. And nobody was talking about a student loan crisis. Everyone, I had like 1,000 people comment, reach out, send an email and say like, no one's talking about this. Look at all this stuff that they've been doing. I've been screwed. I've been having issues. And it really led me down this path of higher education and money. Started looking into a lot of stuff with student loan servicing, connected up to a lot of people in the industry, and really learned that there was this small group of student loan attorneys, policy advocates, people that were trying to do the right thing, but it was messy and no one really understood how to communicate it. No one really understood online media, which was kind of our thing at the time. And so College Investor really just became something that was a personal website and turned into a news organization now. And we've probably had well over 100 journalists roll through our doors writing about student loans, financial aid, 529 plans. We've had our podcast since 2017. And then video, YouTube way back in the day, and now short format video has been the thing that it's where the world's going, right? So my goal for you guys is to connect where people are to help educate on education and personal finance topics. I want you to be richer. I want to help you get through all the weirdness that is student loans. But also, if I can help you avoid student loans for your kids, saving for college, navigating financial aid, and financial literacy. I do a lot of financial literacy stuff for young adults. Things like checking accounts, budgeting, saving, all that kind of stuff. Because again, if we can kind of nip some of this stuff in the bud early on, I don't have to talk so much about the student loan stuff in the future. But hey, here we are. We can't change the past. We got student loans. We will deal with the student loan stuff. Oh, thank you, Sunshine. 1, 2, 3, 4. I appreciate that. Lavender Rashes says, when will WRAP become available? It will become available in July of 2026, so about 6 months away from that. Double A says, I'm on ICR 5 years into PSLF. What should I do when ICR sunsets? You'll be able to migrate to IBR, and you'll be able to finish out the rest of your time. Double A, if you have a Parent Plus loan and that's why you're on ICR, next summer, IBR will become available to you, and I would just run the numbers because IBR will likely be a lower payment. So the sooner you can get to IBR, the more money you can save as you get your public service loan forgiveness. Cassandra says, will the time and pay as you earn count towards the time I need to pay of public service loan forgiveness is 10 years? I'm guessing, yes, pay as you earn is eligible for public service loan forgiveness. Isis, thanks for being here. I appreciate you being here. Let's see what we got. Sorry, guys, we got to go through the questions. Appreciate the questions, but sometimes they scroll fast. Do you think borrowers need to watch debt to income ratio if their balance is increasing? I don't, honestly, S. It's going to be a minimal impact to anything. I personally, once you have good credit, once you are at like 740 and above and you're good, you can even go down to like 720 and above, you don't really need to watch it. Your balance will rise. It will impact your debt to income ratio, but like, who cares? Take care of all the rest of the stuff that's actually impacting your credit score every month, making your payments on time, all that kind of stuff. I get a little hot with credit S because generally credit, especially on social media apps, is used as a sales pitch or in a predatory way. And people are trying to sell you on credit improvement products, and people are trying to like do weird things with credit. And I really get the ick when we talk about credit. And the reason is because you want a great credit score, pay off all your debt, make your payments on time, don't miss a payment, and you'll have a fantastic credit score. It's not magic, it's not rocket science. There's nothing special you need to do. You don't need to add a cosigner, you don't need to do authorized users and play games. Don't make a late payment. Like literally don't make payments late. Pay off all your debt. I promise you'll have an 800 plus credit score. It's not hard. Kayla, can you sue if your account has been so messed up by all of this? Kayla, if they violated a fair credit rule, you can sue them. You're not going to get anywhere, and you have probably better paths of action. Reaching out to your state attorney general, reaching out to your state student loan ombudsman, filing a complaint with the FSA ombudsman, filing a complaint with your representative or senator. Those are going to be better paths to action, because I'm also guessing you don't have thousands of dollars to pay a lawyer to file a lawsuit that's not going to get you anywhere. With that being said, is your account really messed up by all this? I see a lot of messed up stuff. I really do. I've seen it all. But I've also seen probably 10,000 borrowers, files, stories, loans, whatnot. And I'll tell you the amount that the servicers actually mess up, while I love to bash on them, is pretty rare. A lot of times it's not necessarily them. They do mess up. Even a 0.001% error rate means they mess up like 40,000 people's accounts every single year because there's that many borrowers. But like more often than not, your better path is to go your state, your senator, FSA, things like that. Honeyroo, I do not do individual consultations. We are a news organization, but that's why we do provide our knowledge broad. I'm not here to sell you on coaching courses one-on-one. But I do like it when you like and subscribe our channel and throw hearts down, because then TikTok pays us advertising revenue. And if you go to our website, we do get advertising revenue. But I don't like you to pay. Let the advertisers pay, and you get the knowledge for free. I like that model. I'm not trying to sell you on a pay me $1,000. I don't know. Amanda, I've never recertified my income. How is my payment being calculated? It's great. If you're on the Save Forbearance, you probably haven't recertified your income. There are people that haven't had to provide any income since 2019 at this point in time. And so one of my frustrations is that people are anchoring on like payments based on like 2019 income. Some people are, not everybody. So Amanda, if you're leaving the Save plan, when you leave the Save plan, you're going to link your tax return. It's just a checkbox. It's automatic, and it's going to pull your income from the IRS, and that's how your payment's going to be calculated. It's going to be based on the last tax return you filed. Mm-hmm. John, I have 8 to 11% rates on certain loans. John, I'm wondering if you have a mix of federal and private loans, because the highest a federal loan has ever been is a grad loan at 9%, and that's still pretty rare. Most of the loans are lower than that. Anything beyond that might be a private loan. If you have private student loans, you can look at refinancing them with another private lender. I really hate to see people refinance federal loans, but if you have a private loan already, go shop and compare private student loan refinancing options. And the only way to know that you're getting a good deal is to get 3 to 5 quotes. Like, I'm not going to pitch one lender or another, like the one that advertises a lot on this platform or whatnot. Go get 3 to 5 quotes. Find the one that gives you the lowest rate. And if it beats your current loans, well, then you can refinance with them. That's the only real option for private student loans. And like, there's no magic bullet. Just because they have a really cool name and they push it out on marketing a lot doesn't mean they're the lowest. You got to do it. It's based on your income and your credit too. Katie, I don't know what you're saying. What happened with the suites? I might have ate them, but if you mean like Sweet versus Cardona and the settlement agreement, It's in court, it's processing. People have already gotten their forgiveness. There's probably hopefully more to come. So, Cassandra, why are they getting rid of all of the income-based plans? Because Congress passed a law to eliminate everything but IBR and then the new RAP plan. And a big part of it is it was super confusing. Nobody knew what to do, and none of them really necessarily were any helpful or better than the others. So now you'll have old borrowers can have IBR and RAP, and new borrowers going forward will only have RAP, and it'll simplify the whole thing, and people can actually know like what their payments are. Like imagine when you're 18 years old and you're taking out your first student loan, and I ask you, how much are you going to pay each month to pay this back? There's no easy way to calculate that. Now, I can tell you, under the RAP plan, if you expect to be a nurse and you're going to make $48,000 a year entry level, this is exactly how much you're going to pay each month. So it goes a long way to streamlining that, which if you've noticed the big trend here, the big trend with this administration is dollar in, dollar out, college needs to pay off. And you can agree or disagree with that. But as someone that's helped a lot of people with student loans, federal student loans and like have been a problem, especially at different colleges and universities and especially on the graduate level. Kelsey says, how concerned should I be about the tax bomb? Ooh, was a great one, Kelsey. Honestly, not that concerned. So if you guys don't know, the tax bomb is coming back in 2026. The tax bomb is a reference to the fact that certain types of student loan forgiveness, specifically time-based student loan forgiveness, borrower defense to repayment student loan forgiveness, what else? Closed school, a few different types could be taxable again at the federal level. Public service loan forgiveness, death and disability discharge, teacher loan forgiveness, always tax-free. By law, tax-free. Other types, not tax-free, and that comes back in 2026. However, a lot of people get really scared about the tax bomb, and it's not as impactful as most people realize. So first off, Kelsey, we have a tax bomb estimator on the College Investor, and it helps you understand what your tax liability could be. One, most people that make it that far don't have any liability because they're technically insolvent, which means they have more in liabilities than they have in assets. That includes the amount of debt forgiven. In your example, you owe $150K. So if I added up your retirement accounts, your checking, your savings account, the value of your car and the home, if you have a home, if it's less than $150K, you're insolvent, you'll owe no taxes on that. Okay? Now, there's also partial insolvency. So same thing. Let's say the total assets or debt's 150 and you have 175. Well, you're partially insolvent, so you only owe taxes on like 25K. And so then you kind of start seeing this trend where it's added to your ordinary income. So also number two here is I don't think that you're in the highest tax bracket. Even if you owe taxes on that full 150K, it's only going to put you in the 22% tax bracket or something if you're married. Then you're going to get all your deductions and tax credits and things like that. You'd just be shocked that how little you would actually pay even if you actually owed taxes on this. So don't be so concerned about the tax bomb. I'll tell you, that's a general statement. I have seen plenty of outliers, but the outliers are always people that pulled every lever in the book to avoid paying their student loans. I'm talking about like doctors who worked per diem, that sheltered all their money and had real estate and depreciated everything and made it look like they made no money on paper, but really had millions. But that's such a rare outlying case. Most people don't have anything to worry about with the tax bomb. It could suck. Even paying $2,000, $3,000 extra in taxes sucks. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as scary as you need to be afraid of. With Annie, how can kids pay off their student loans as quickly as possible after graduation? With Annie, that just goes back to general budgeting. So first off, I would always encourage everyone to understand, should you pay off your student loans or not? I think the one thing is, especially with some other popular influencers, is that you always pay off your debt. Student loans are a weird exception. I would say yes to credit cards, car loans, mortgages. That's the payoff column. Student loans are like a question mark over here because of student loan forgiveness. My question is, if you're getting loan forgiveness, public service loan forgiveness, you're going to go be a doctor, a nurse, work in a school, whatever, it could be better for your whole financial situation to go for loan forgiveness and minimize your student loan payment and get that forgiveness. If that's not you, you're one of the 50% of borrowers that doesn't qualify for any type of loan forgiveness. Well, then it's just like a debt snowball or a debt avalanche. You just add it into the pile over here and you just start rolling through it, throwing all your extra money at it and getting paid off. So Amanda, can you buy back months from graduate school for PSL? Oh, Amanda's asking some technical good stuff here. So Amanda, if you had undergraduate loans that went into in-school deferment because of your grad school loans, you can buy back the months on the undergrad loans, not the grad loans. I hope that makes sense. The best way I like to think about buyback is if you were forced to not pay your loans, even if you wanted to, that's when you can buy back. But also remember, Amanda, you'd have to certify your full-time employment. So I don't know, if you were working full-time and you certified it all during that period of time, then you can absolutely buy back that period for the undergrad loans, not for the grad ones. The grad ones were on in-school status, not in-school deferment status. So yes. What advice for a senior in high school? Where should I start to apply? The big thing is figure out what you want to do. If you don't know what you want to do, keep it general. Look at the cost, fill out the FAFSA. Don't be afraid of community college. Realize that your cost of living is actually the most expensive part of college. It's not necessarily tuition. So if you can live at home, go to community college, knock that out. It's a great way to do it. But it really comes down to what you want to do, how much you want to make, what careers interest you, and then the money plays into it. I'm currently on the SAVE plan. What should I do next? Kagome. IBR is available today. RAP is available next July. Go run the calculators, see which one gives you the lowest payment plan, get rolling. The fact that so many people can't afford the standard repayment plan proves that college isn't worth it. It's a tough one, S. I sympathize with that comment, and I agree with it on a lot of levels. Yeah, I'm just going to let that one stand as it is. I live overseas. What would happen if I just stopped paying my student loans? Joseph in Japan. Japan sounds like a cool place to be. If you stop paying your student loans, not probably much is going to happen to you because they're not going to be able to collect. But if you ever came back to the United States, tried to access U.S. benefits, things like that, they'll garnish them, they'll take them, you're not going to get them. Joseph, you live overseas. You should be taking advantage of income-based repayment because I'm assuming that your U.S. tax return is like pretty low because you get the foreign tax exclusions or whatever it's called. I haven't done it in a bit, but I know you get to deduct all your foreign taxes from your income tax. So your U.S. income tax return should be like nothing. And so most people that live overseas actually do pay on their loans because it doesn't cost them anything because their IBR payment's $0 a month because they have the foreign exclusion on all their taxes. So I would look into that before I kick that off into the ground. Don't I think borrowers need to watch their debt to income ratio? No, it really doesn't make that much of an impact. It generally doesn't. Your doesn't going to go up that much as long as you're staying current, not going into default. All right, what do we got here? What if you have Parent Plus loans and you are 62? It definitely is a challenge, K10. So what I would do if I have Parent Plus loans is I would ensure that they're consolidated so that you have access to IBR next year. You need to consolidate if you haven't already by February or March so that you're fully consolidated by June 30th and you can access income-driven repayment plans. Once you can access an income-driven repayment plan, you just milk that low payment into the sunset. And your loan will either be forgiven or you'll pay it off or you get disability and get it forgiven or you pass away and get it forgiven. You don't burden your kid with that loan, that's for sure. We flow money downwards, we don't push money upwards. Study music over on YouTube. Welcome. Why would someone choose IBR over RAP? Aren't Save and IBR the best? Well, remember, Save's done. You don't get that option anymore. IBR is 10 to 15% of your discretionary income. The RAP plan is calculated at 1 to 10% of your AGI. You just have to run the numbers. We've run a bunch of scenarios, and generally, IBR is better for borrowers that make over 100K a year, and the RAP plan is better for borrowers that make less than 100K a year. That's generalizing. Your situation may vary, so you can go run the numbers on our calculators, but it also depends on how many kids you have and your family size and whatnot. Also, remember, if you take out a student loan after July 2026, you only have access to RAP. It's not even a question, just RAP. All right, what do we got here? Cassandra, IBR is 20 or 25 years. If your first student loan was borrowed after 2014, it's 20 years, and before 2014, it's 25 years. Gemini, submitted my PSLF buyback in August 2025. Do I need to switch? Gemini, you may need to switch. I'm not going to sugarcoat this one for you because there is a good chance that your buyback request is not processed until like December of 2026. So you also might want to switch because I don't know what your numbers look like. But like, for example, if your numbers were 0 on Save and there's 0 on IBR, it's better to just switch to your 0 IBR and do it the old-fashioned way. If we're talking like a massive difference in price, like you're buying back at like $100 a month and your payments today are like $700 a month, just keep waiting it out. But I've helped some people get through this, and a lot of them are shocked. They're like, oh, my IBR payment is actually 0 too. And I'm like, yeah, so what are you even trying to buy back for? Just get this thing done. Like, let's rock and roll. So really becomes a question of what your payments are. Jimmy's, while I was on Save, I paid for 115 months. Under IBR, my payment will be $469. It's possible, Jimmy's, but you also have to think that your Save payment was probably based on 2022 income in a normal situation, or as far back as 2019 income. And this is what I mean, people, is your income just keeps rising every year, and so your payments will rise. I also think you got to realize, guys, that the government's betting against you. And what I mean by this is the data says most undergraduates pay off their student loans by 19 years. And most graduate students pay off their student loans in 23 years. Did you notice how that's like a year less than the forgiveness timeline? Because they know, they've seen the data. The government's playing the long game on you guys. You guys are looking at like your month or your 2 months. The government's like, I can sit here all day and I'm just gonna wait it out because I know over 10 years, your income's gonna rise and your payments are gonna be better, which is also okay. You can, as long as you know the game and you know the rules of the game, you can play the game too. But the government made the game, set the rules, and they know the stats. So you need to educate yourself too and realize that that's how it's rolling. Thanks. I think it's a nightmare stories that people who have more debt than paying after 20 years. There are some nightmare stories with any. One thing I would encourage you to do is go figure out the details of those stories. If you see them on like the CNBCs and like the salacious headlines, like I love myself a good clickbait headline every now and then too. But when you start diving into the weeds, a lot of these people like didn't pay their loans for 5 or 10 years, or just like went into deferment and forbearance and they forgot about them. And there's always a story. There's not really any stories of people paying their student loans for 25 years who actually paid 25 years straight because they're getting forgiveness, right? Anyone that's going forever has another story where it's like, yeah, you know, like I just didn't pay him for 5 years. And you're just like, what? Okay. And that's how you get there. Define full-time employment. I get that question a lot. I feel like I should read this specific one for you. Big Game, welcome. I'm going to get this. I'm going to read full-time employment status like exactly. We're not going to botch this because I'm tired. All right. Full-time employment for public service loan forgiveness means, Working 30 hours a week and blah, 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 blah. We're going to find it here. Full-time employment for PSLF purposes means working 30 or more hours per week on average for the employment period on the form, regardless of whether the employer considers that employment full-time for other purposes. Working less than 30 hours per week on average is considered part-time. When a borrower is determining full-time, the employer must include all hours, including vacation, leave, or any time taken under FMLA. However, you do not include time spent volunteering. If the borrower is employed on a contract basis where the average hours of 30 hours per week for a minimum of 8 months in a 12-month period, such as in an educational setting, they are considered 12 months. So like the teachers get the 12 months. Borrowers in a non-tenured track, such as an adjunct or a non-tenured faculty member, the employer can calculate the weekly average for determining full-time using a formula where they get to multiply their contract hours by 3.35 hours. I will also say, Big Game, I don't know if you've seen this. This one's pretty cool, but I want to say it was the state of New Mexico has a top-up for all of their faculty at like community colleges and stuff. So like the federal formula now, they have this multiplier, and the state also has a multiplier for defining full-time employment. So if you're like a part-time faculty member, you're automatically considered full-time for public service loan forgiveness, and they give you a multiplier on your hours. So that is the full-time employment question. It's on page 7 of the PDF application. Or not. It's nice being in the office. You can actually like read that stuff out. What timeline for PSLF buyback? I have 10 months left if I buy back. KMG, Chicago to San Diego. The timeline for PSLF buybacks 14 months plus. You're going to be waiting for a long time. And remember, your buyback is calculated in this period. So like if you're buying back December of 2025, it's just what you're supposed to be paying under IBR or pay as you earn anyways. So, you gotta just do the math there. It's a math question. Kelly, how do I get rich fast? You go work a lot, you save 50 to 80% of the money you earn, and then you go invest that so that it grows for you over time. The question is how do you earn a lot of money? Well, go work, side hustle, start a business, do it while working full-time somewhere else. I don't know how young you are, but the real key is save 50 to 80% of it and invest it for 10 years, and then you'll be a millionaire. All right. Where are we at? We are going. Club Chi-Chi. I was able to go back to college last year due to qualifying for the SAVE plan. But last year, Club Chi-Chi, the SAVE plan was paused. Anyways, Blanca, what's the deadline to change? We don't have an end date yet. Anyone that's giving you an end date is lying to you. We have assumptions of an end date. We have probabilities. You can read them at the College Investor. I think, July of 2026 to like the fall of 2076 is a good guess. It could be sooner, could be all the way out to 2028. It's like what do you call it? Like a probability hierarchy there. The bigger thing is though, Blanca or Lacanese, I don't know, is to just make the plan for you. Tune out what you're hearing in the news and the media. Go run your IBR number. Go run your RAP number and make the choice that's going to make you wealthier because you did it. I did Parent Plus loans for my daughter. Loans are now due and large based on my income. User, you got to decide. You got to pay those off. They're not your daughter's loans. They're your loans. We believe that parents should never ask their kids to pay their Parent Plus loans. So consolidate, get on an income-driven repayment plan. That's going to be your lowest monthly payment plan option. After that, you got to make the choices on how you're going to do it. It becomes a budgeting scenario. I'm on the SAVE plan and trying to figure out if I should switch to the IBR plan. You have two options with SAVE. You can switch to IBR today. You can wait out for the RAP plan in July of 2026. Run the numbers. I don't know which one's going to be the lowest for you, but run the numbers. See which one's the lowest. If you can swing it and get on IBR, just start. If you can't swing either, if you can't swing IBR and you can't swing RAP, well, then you still have a buffer of a few months here to like fix whatever else is in your life holding you back from these payments. So they're coming, they're coming. At least use this time to like improve it. Does the time on pay as you earn count towards the 20 years if I switch to IBR? Yes, your time and all your income driven repayment plans will count to your next repayment plan. It's Hobby. If I am currently paying my school with Grad Plus, will I be grandfathered in, right? Hobby, if you have borrowed a Grad Plus loan already, which it sounds like you have, you are grandfathered in for up to 3 academic years and or, whichever is first, the end of your program. So if you're in a 2-year program and this is year 1, you can get grandfathered in for 1 more year, year 2. If it's a 4-year program, you can get all 4 years, but that's the rules. If you've already taken a Grad Plus loan, you are grandfathered in. It's Hobby. It's important to remember though, you're only grandfathered in on the borrowing. You're not grandfathered in on the repayment plans. You, my friend, if you borrow a loan after July 1st, will only have access to standard and RAP. You don't get access to IBR anymore. Math in a minute. My IBR started in 2020 at 0. Hasn't updated since going in forbearance, now going for PSLF. No, if you are going for PSLF math in a minute, you should switch now. Get those credits going. You don't want to wait it out. You can only buy back time in eligible forbearances. The time in the COVID forbearance is automatically qualified as long as you certify your employment. So if you had qualifying employment math in a minute back then, make sure you're filling out the PSLF form and getting that certified all the way through the COVID forbearance. Because then we had the COVID forbearance, we had the on-ramp period, and then if you rolled into SAVE, you got stuck in the SAVE forbearance. The SAVE forbearance, you actually would have to buy back those payments. They're not counting automatically like the COVID forbearance did. But for all of it, math in a minute, you have to submit an employment certification form, the PSLF certification form, to make sure all of your eligible months are certified by your employer. And then, yes, get on an IBR plan today. Get it done. Marco, do I know the exact month the SAVE forbearance started in 2024, in July? My student is still in school. If I consolidate now, do I start payments now or after they graduate? Muzz, you would start payments 30 days after the consolidation is done. Big game. Most people don't realize 30 hours qualifies as full-time employment. That's true. I agree with that one. RAP helps pay down interest, right? My interest is $2K a month, med student. RAP is interesting, AC. So RAP has no negative amortization. So if your monthly payment does not cover all your interest, it's forgiven by the government. The RAP plan also has a $50 a month principal subsidy. So if your monthly payment doesn't pay down at least $50 a month, the RAP plan will cover $50 a month. So your payment's always going down. If you're in medical school, the RAP plan is cool, but if you're going into public service, it's kind of doesn't really matter if you're going for public service loan forgiveness. Just choose the plan IBR or RAP that's the lowest monthly payment. Who cares what your loan balloons to if you're going for public service loan forgiveness, right? It's all forgiven. The exception to that, though, is if you're a med student and you're going to go into private practice, the RAP can be much more compelling because you're not getting public service loan forgiveness, right? Manzanita, is it true if we change to IBR, we lose all progress on loan forgiveness? No, that is not true at all. Your qualifying time and time-based forgiveness will carry forward to you, and your qualifying PSLF counts will carry forward with you. The big thing is don't consolidate. That will cost you time if you consolidate. We don't consolidate here at the College Investor. Quantum, I've been paying since 1997 on a loan, consolidated from Navient to SAVE to AidVantage in 2023. Been paying over 25 years. Quantum, you need to get on IBR. Like, get on IBR now. I wish you would have watched my video back in July. Get on IBR now. Now. Forgiveness is processing under IBR, pay as you earn, ICR, but IBR is 25 years for you as long as you are making 25 years of payments, right? And you have to get on it though. Being in forbearance, being on save, they don't process you on any type of forgiveness on those plans. But if you switch over to IBR and you do have 25 years of qualifying payments, you will get your loans forgiven. Manzanita, no, you do not have to consolidate. In fact, you should not consolidate. It's Javi. I don't have one comboed. Javi asked, do I have a RAP versus IBR calculator? No, but I have them individually. My coding skills are only basic, but I have them individually, and you can go see them on the College Investor. All right, guys, we are catching up here. We've been going for an hour and a half, too. If you guys haven't liked, subscribed, and followed, please do. We are still rocking and rolling. Cassandra says, does the time I'm on pay as you earn count towards my 20 years? Yes, all of your time and your income-driven plans just kind of stack on top of each other. If you're on pay as you earn, they'll tell you when you have to get kicked out. You're going to get kicked out in like 2027, 2020, early 2028. Definitely, Quantum. I want to see you get that forgiveness, but you got to get on IBR, my friend. Don't keep waiting around. All right, guys, we caught up on all the comments there. You guys have been keeping way ahead of me. I love it. And there's still 24 of you guys here in TikTok, and there are still, we got a few of you guys over on YouTube and Twitch as well. So if you haven't said hi or haven't asked your question yet, now is the time to do so. Cassandra, yes, we do this every Thursday night for the most part. But we also do some lunch and learns and stuff in the day sometimes, and we'll drop those live events on here when we're doing them. I try to do the live Q&A, but of course we have our video every day. You can go on the website. We got our newsletter, our podcast. You can read the articles, all the things. All right. Muzz, I have a Parent Plus loan for 3 years of school. Muzz, if you want to have access, so as I say, I don't like consolidation. The only people that should consolidate are Parent Plus loan borrowers that want to have access to IBR and PSLF. And you need to consolidate that thing in February or March at the latest. Violet, I made payments during the Save Forbearance. Will I be eligible to do buyback when my PSLF comes up? So Violet, payments made in the Save Forbearance don't count for anything. And if you're going for PSLF, never make a payment in forbearance again. That money's kind of gone, can't go back in time. With that being said, you can buy back your time in PSLF or in the Save Forbearance. The question is should you? Because right now, if you're still in the Save Forbearance, your buyback would be whatever you're supposed to be paying right now. So just get on a plan and start paying it, and you don't have to buy back it. So do that. When you hit 120, you can buy back any of those months in the Save Forbearance, but like never make a payment in forbearance if you're going for PSLF. You're just wasting the money. It's just poof. 2608, will they kick you off pay when RAP is available? No, they're not going to kick you off pay when RAP is available. Pay is going to die in 2028, end of 2027, 2028. I don't know if they're even going to kick you off automatically. We're going to find that out in the negotiated rulemaking session here. This is why I think they're going to do something about automated moves in this negotiated rulemaking session, because they got pay, ICR, and RAP, or not RAP, and SAVE. If they want to move people automatically, they have to do negotiated rulemaking. And so we'll see what comes of that from an automatic moving perspective. Emily, if you're on SAVE, what is the best way to pick what? So Emily, you only have IBR basically available today. And then you have RAP that comes out in July. We have calculators for both of those. Put your income in, run the numbers, whichever gives you the lowest monthly payment, that's the one you choose. Quantum, is IBR only available based on income? Yeah, Quantum, for you, ignore anything. Just choose IBR. Like literally, it's the only thing you need to choose so you can get your dang forgiveness. Don't think about anything else. Marco, I'm on SAVE. Student aid provides pay option, which is cheaper than IBR. Which one should I do? Marco, if you can go into pay, take it. It's going to end in 2 years. And then you're going to have to go to that more expensive IBR option. To me, that tells me that you're one of like the few people out there that took out a student loan between 2011 and 2014, and pay is lower than the IBR would be. But since pay is going away, they kind of effed you. There's like this tiny group of borrowers that are getting screwed a little bit because you could have written out pay, but you're not allowed to anymore. So take pay, enjoy your 2 years. You're going to end up on IBR in 2028. All right. Clint, I have 116 PSLF payments. I have applied buyback in December of 2024, escalated. Clint, I'm guessing you've already hit 120 qualifying months though, because you're not allowed to buy back until you're at 120 months. And so you're missing 4 payments is what I'm assuming that meant. There's nothing to escalate at this point in time. December is kind of what they're processing now. And so you just got to keep waiting. There's no reason for you to switch. I'm hopeful that your processing is going to be in the next few weeks, because that's kind of the dates we've been seeing is November and December of 2024. But yeah, that's kind of it. So just kind of keep waiting it out. Do you switch on studentaid.gov? Yeah, so if you want to switch your payment plans, go to studentaid.gov, choose IDR application, and it takes like 5 minutes. Violet, I tried to get off save, but I haven't taken off. So Violet, go on studentaid.gov, choose the IDR application, do everything electronic, link your tax return, choose I allow them to pull my information, and it should process. If you haven't done this since after May, they didn't process anything from back then. So Mistina, what's the main negative to wait until we're forced to switch from save to IBR if forgiven anyways? I don't know what kind of forgiveness you're going for here, Mistina, but the main problems that you're going to face are when you do leave, your payment will be higher than you would start today. Interest is continuing to accrue. So even if you get forgiveness, it's taxable. You're going to face a bigger potential tax bomb. Time. It's going to take you longer. I don't know if you're going for public service or not, but it's going to be another year or two you're going to have to work. I don't know if you want that either. So all of them are kind of the negatives here. Basically, I want you to get 1 to 2 years faster, richer, wealthier on the path to get it all done. Julia, is pay going to qualify for forgiveness in the 2 years? So pay qualifies for public service loan forgiveness. Pay qualifies for time-based loan forgiveness, all the things. Yep, Elizabeth, pay counts for PSLF too. Yes, it does. If a Parent Plus loan is ICR and going for PSLF, yes. If you are in ICR, you are fine to go for PSLF. Remember, you have to be in ICR before June 30th of 2026. So make sure that you actually are in ICR. User, is it better to stay on save until forced to change? No, it's dumber to stay on save until forced to change. If you want to be richer, if you want to enjoy down the road, get going. Stop waiting. It's going to be more expensive in your monthly payments. It's going to delay your time to get to forgiveness. Like, just get going. I think if I switch to pay, payments will be cheaper than wrap. Marco, rock and roll, then do it. You're still short though, I think. You're over 2 years, like barely. So I don't know if you're going to be able to like finish it out on pay, but it'll be close because you're at 92 of 120, right? And so pay is going to end in 2028, and you're going to have to finish your last 6 payments on IBR or wrap. Not the end of the world, right? Deanne, will we lose all payment progress moving? No, you don't lose any payment progress unless you consolidate, which again, you should not be consolidating your loans. No payment progress is lost. This is why we're here, guys. We got to debunk these myths. I feel like I should make a video on all the myths because these are the ones, like, I think a lot of people are super fearful that they're going to lose something or whatnot. What do you switch to? Save says income doesn't have to be validated. User, you switch to IBR today. You switch to RAP in July of 2026. Those are your 2 options moving forward. You got to ignore SAVE is dead. On December 15th, once the judge signs that order, it's like all going to get deleted from studentaid.gov. Like, don't think about what it says. It hasn't been valid for a year and a half, 2 years now. Like, SAVE's gone. IBR, RAP, run your numbers, see which one gives you the lowest payment, rock and roll. Mackenzie, RAP starts in July of 2026. So 6 months away from the RAP plan starting. Sue says, can I stay in the extended plan? Man, yes, you can, Sue. You can stay in the extended plan as long as you don't take out a new student loan after July 1st of 2026. The extended plan will still be a valid option for you. User, it's IBR and RAP, the Repayment Assistance Plan. It's a new plan. It comes out in July of 2026. It's not available. You're not going to run the calculator on Student Aid. You're going to run it on the College Investor. We have the RAP calculator. And run your two options, IBR, RAP. It's constant. Is student loan payments based off your balance or balance with interest? Your student loan payment is based on your student loan repayment plan. So if you have a standard repayment plan, it's based off of your balance. And if you have an income-driven repayment plan, it's based off your income. Your balance doesn't even play a factor in it. And it is based off of your balance before, it's all taken into consideration with it, but the interest is accrued as simple interest. And so, Constance, when you see your student loan payment on the standard plan, you have your principal, and then you have an interest line, but you're not paying interest on your interest. It's simple interest. Your interest is only based on your original principal balance. So, hope that helps. But again, most people, 55% of borrowers, are on an income-driven repayment plan. And so this is why people get confused, is because your student loan payment is based on your income. Your balance doesn't even play a role in what you're paying. Marco, how quickly are they taking applications to get people switching to pay? 3 to 7 days. Like I said, if you go on studentaid.gov, connect your tax return, make sure everything's done digitally, 3 to 7 days. After med school, the pay in residency is $50 to $70K a year. Yeah. AC, you could do that. I would just run the numbers both ways. So one of my rules of thumb is check in every single year. Run the numbers every single year. See which one's lower, switch if you want to. Again, though, if you're going for public service loan forgiveness too, it doesn't really matter what your balance belongs to. I think hopefully by the time you get to residency, the thing is most residency is nonprofit, so it counts for public service loan forgiveness. So if you're already in residency for 3 years, you're a third of the way there. Depends on your specialty. Are you going to continue in the path of public service or not, right? Saint, did I lose all my payment accounts when I consolidated during the Biden era and went to the SAVE plan? Depends. There's definitely a timeline and what kind of payment counts are we talking about. Public service loan forgiveness had a consolidation waiver that you got around that, but you had to consolidate before August of 2022. If you consolidated after that, they had some other waivers for IDR, if you're looking at your IDR payment counts, so you might still have those. But it all kind of depends. There's a lot of gray area in there. Sunshine, again, to summarize your SAVE forbearance timeline, it's fair to say you think that most likely time frame of getting out of SAVE is mid-2026. We've been saying that all along. We think it's like a bell curve here of the, how did my camera get moved so much? That's funny. I must have knocked it. It's like a bell curve here of, starting in February, March, it goes up, higher probability, midsummer, right? And then August, September, October, potentially, still probably at the top of that bell curve because RAP's going to roll out in July. They might give you 90 days or something in the RAP, to get in there. And then slowly, again, the probability comes down with the very final potential probability of June 30th of 2028. But it's kind of this bell curve of probabilities is the best way to think about it. So that's how we're viewing it. Sleepyhead, any word on if RAP will consider married filing jointly or separately for AGI? Yes, if you file separately, it only uses your income. It doesn't use your combined income. So I know that was a concern back in like June when they were like penciling out the bill, but they definitely let you do married filing separately for your repayment. Violet, you can find the RAP calculator, link in bio. We have it on thecollegeinvestor.com. We have a student loan calculator too if you want to look at your other options. And then, of course, it's the studentaid.gov has their estimator, but their estimator is not fully updated yet, and it does not have RAP yet. So thanks, Sunshine, or S-Shine. I'm guessing that's Sunshine. It's so hard to give a timeline, so that's why you got to kind of do this probability curve of like, what do we think? So, all right. Guys, we're still going here. If you guys are just joining us, feel free to drop your question in the chat. We're also live over on YouTube. If you like a big screen, we got YouTube here, we got TikTok here, we got Twitch, we got Twitter. It's great. User RAP is a 30-year forgiveness plan if you are doing time-based loan forgiveness. That is correct. Big shadow. All right. Welcome, guys. We've had some people here for quite a while. It's nice to see that. If you guys are just joining us, make sure you say hi, like the screen, tap, let us know you're here, and drop your question in the chats, whether you're on TikTok or YouTube. JMD Boat, is there a better repayment plan for high earners, PSLF, high student loan debt? JMD, the answer is going to be if you are going for public service loan forgiveness, the answer is whatever repayment plan gives you the lowest monthly payment each year. That's it. Don't overthink this one. Your goal is to pay the least amount legally possible to maximize your loan forgiveness. So you have two options, IBR, RAP. Go run the numbers, figure out which one's there. You, as a high earner, also have the potential to pull other levers and lower your AGI. Max that 401k, 403b, max your HSA, max your traditional IRA if you're, if you can. Lower those AGIs so that when you do sign up for RAP or IBR, you're getting the lowest possible payment you can get. So hopefully that helps. Jay, I logged into my student loan servicer and it said my loans are set to begin repayment in 2028. I'm guessing that you're in the safe forbearance like a lot of other people are. That's not valid. You need to decide what's right for you to start repaying your student loans. Are you going for loan forgiveness? Do you want IBR, RAP? Which one's going to give you the lowest monthly payment? That's what's going to make the difference, and you need to decide that. User, what if not public service loan forgiveness for high earner and high debt? The question then becomes more of a personal financial planning question. What's your goal? Are your goals paying it off? If your goal is paying it off because you're not getting loan forgiveness, who cares what payment plan you're on? We need to look at your whole picture to figure out how you can just throw more money at those loans and get them paid off as fast as you can. So over on YouTube, study music. Would switching from RAP to IBR make you lose progress on either one? No, we were actually worried it would cause you to lose progress because that's how it was written, but negotiated rulemaking clarified that they're not going to make you lose progress either direction, so you should be fine. Jay, are there any eligibility limits to the RAP plan? No, there's not, because they also don't care what your income is because there's no cap on it. So if you make a lot of money and you join RAP, you're just going to have a really big student loan payment. If I'm in SAVE, Zigster says, if I'm in SAVE and they transfer me to RAP, will it take longer to reach PSLF? Zigster, PSLF is always 10 years. And the big thing is if you're in SAVE, you're not earning any time towards PSLF right now. So yeah, it's not a question of what repayment plan you choose. It's more of a fact that you're not making any qualifying payments right now. And so you're just costing yourself time. If you are PSLF eligible, you are literally costing yourself free money by waiting around in the SAVE plan longer than you should be. So, Clarissa, if I'm in an IDR that is not saved, yeah, you're an IBR, I'm guessing, but my payments with even one dependent now is more than before COVID. So, Clarissa, you have to remember that your income changes every year, and you have to pay your income-based repayment as 10 or 15% of your discretionary income. And it will change every single year, which is one of the reasons why we're encouraging people to choose now if you're in SAVE, because your income rises every year. The government counts on that. You don't get a fixed payment under these plans. It's an annual thing, and your payment will rise. It could also fall if your income goes down, but that's how these plans work. But it's always tied to the same percentage of your discretionary income. So if your income goes up, it's still 10 or 15%, depending on when you took out your loans, of when you are going to have to, or how much you're going to have to pay. Emily, if we were doing PSLF, the most logical choice would be to switch to IBR to count payments now. Yes, that is a great summary, Emily. Miss Dina, I have $350K with 7 years left. No more PSLF. Is the forgiveness really taxed if in a no income state? Miss Dina, if you are going for time-based loan forgiveness, so this is tied to IBR, the RAP plan, whatever you're going on, that will be taxable federally starting in 2026. Now, you have 7 years left. There's nothing to say that they don't change the tax law in the future. But part two, Miss Tina, is I encourage you to run our tax bomb calculator here at the College Investor. So link in bio, go see what you actually might owe. You might be shocked that you actually don't owe any taxes on that, because a lot of people get concerned about the tax bomb, and the tax bomb is pretty overblown. Zigster, you are going to buy back, though, at whatever you're supposed to be paying right now. There's no savings to buy back. I think a lot of people are thinking that they're going to get some magical number with their buyback, but your monthly buyback is calculated at whatever you're supposed to be paying this month. So by not paying it and just buying it back later, you're just going to have to write a really big check when you could have been making monthly payments all along. Elizabeth, RAP is not open yet. It doesn't come out until July. For FAFSA, ooh, Kelly, we're breaking it up. I love this. Okay, for FAFSA, if I apply with 2 kids and my husband, 1 income household, what is the minimum to qualify? Well, I don't think, FAFSA is just an application. It doesn't qualify you for anything per se. What it does do, Kelly, is it takes your child's income and your child's assets, your income and your assets, or if this is just for you, you are the person going, and then it takes your family's household income and assets, and it'll send that to the school. And the school will calculate any type of financial aid you're eligible for, including a Pell Grant, potentially state-based aid, and student loans. So there's no minimum to qualify for anything. In fact, the less you have, the more you could qualify for in terms of free money for college, but that's how that works. Brandon, I was on IBR before SAVE. Will I still get the years I was on IBR for 20-year forgiveness? Yeah, your payment count just keeps trucking along, but this isn't more important of why you need to get out of SAVE, Brandon, is the time you spent in the last 18 months in SAVE doesn't count towards that 20-year forgiveness, right? So you're gonna have this gap of the SAVE forbearance does not count in any way, shape, or form for your 20-year IBR forgiveness. So get out and get back on track so you can get that loan forgiveness. All right. Aubrey, does the SAVE settlement walk back ICR forgiveness from the AFT settlement? No, it does not walk it back at all. 2 different things. The SAVE settlement specifically calls out save and repay. It doesn't do anything with the ICR forgiveness or whatnot. It is interesting to note, I will say, I have not seen anybody get their ICR forgiveness yet. I've only seen IBR forgiveness happen. That's not to say that you're not coming. You've already passed your 300 payments, but there was that government shutdown in the middle of this whole thing and whatnot. So who knows how many people are actually working on getting that processed. I'm very fingers crossed, hopeful for you. And remember, the tax bomb applies to the month that you crossed the 300 mark. So that would have been this year. You don't have to worry about it, even if they don't process it till like the middle of next year. But still would be annoying, I'm not gonna lie. be very annoying, but you don't have to worry about a tax bomb. Sunshine, do you think it's possible that in the future Congress can pass a bill to make time-based forgiveness tax-free again? Absolutely possible. Again, I don't think they actually collect much in tax dollars from it anyways, so I could see it as being an easy win to eliminate the tax bomb federally again. In fact, a lot of states already do. California, for example, doesn't tax IDR, time-based loan forgiveness. So remember, state rules are all different too. Quantum, you need to get on IBR now. Yeah, so you had to consolidate because you had old FFEL loans. Now you have a direct loan. Now you need to get on IBR. That is exactly what you do. You don't need to consolidate again. You've already done that work. Just apply for IBR. So just do it. All right, guys. We have been going for almost 2 hours tonight, which is always fun. If you haven't asked your question, we're going to go for another 10 minutes, guys. So now is the time. Ask your question. Thanks for the likes, Aubrey. If you haven't liked, subscribed, and followed, please do, because that helps us. And it'll also help you because we'll post a video most days. And you can stay updated on the latest in higher education and personal finance. Oh, thanks for the follows, guys. Thanks for the likes. Over on YouTube, are payments calculated based on taxes of the previous year? What if you were a student and didn't do any taxes? Well, then you would have to certify with the alternative methods. And so you could provide a current pay stub or a current form that shows your current income. And they might not be as low as your zero ones because you didn't file your taxes. This is why I also like starting at 18, even if you only make like $2,000, $3,000 a year, always a great idea to file your taxes. You also might get a tax refund. But with that being said, you can't go back and fix time. You can file a tax return if you might be owed a tax refund, if you have any income. If you haven't, you can use the alternative method, use your pay stubs, things like that to get going. So hopefully that helps. Mohib, I have a $27,000 loan from undergrad, and I'm going for my MPH, estimated around $18,000 total. I mean, generally, Mohib, I don't know if you have a question following that one up. You're not taking out a lot of debt. If you're taking out more than that, I'd start being concerned. But really, just run the numbers, and then when you're all done with that, see what you're going to have to repay when you're done after graduation, based on what you're going to earn. I don't know if you have a question on what I'm supposed to think about. KJ, if you're married and on an IBR plan for student loans, should you file your taxes jointly or separately? This is a tough question, and I talked about this at the beginning of the show, but that was like 2 hours ago, so we can talk about it again. Is that this is more of a tax question, KJ, than it is a student loan question. And what I mean by that is when you file your taxes separately, you will pay more in taxes. And the question is will your student loan payment drop by enough to offset the higher taxes you're going to pay? And so when you do your taxes next month in January or February, whenever you do it, you need to do the numbers. What's my taxes married filing jointly? What's my taxes married filing separately? Then you take the AGI numbers and you go plug them into the student loan calculator and you see what your student loan payment's going to be with both scenarios, right? With that, then you come back to your taxes and you can decide. So the example I used earlier is, let's just say your married filing separately costs you $5,000 more a year in taxes. It's very possible that could happen, right? But what if your monthly student loan payment goes down by $500 a month or $6,000 a year? Well, then you win. That's $1,000 in savings, so you want to do it. But what if your $5,000 in taxes goes up, but what if your student loan payment only goes down by $100 a month? Well, that's $1,200 a year in savings to $5,000 increase. You're short $3,800. That sucks. You don't want to do that one. So this is why it's so different for everybody, KJ. And you have to just kind of run the numbers and see which one is going to save you the most money. And it literally is like 50-50. There's no like, I can't guarantee you one direction or another. Mohib, so you were thinking about going back and getting your MPH, $18,000 total, your first generation student. My question to you is whatever you're doing for work, will you earn $18,000 more after taxes in the next 5 years as a result of whatever you're doing this for? If the answer is yes, it's a very cheap amount to pay. So I'm not like against you here, but it's a math question. If the answer is no, then no, like it's not worth it. And then I would decide like if this is a career I want, a job I want, like can I promote my way up? Maybe my employer someday will pay for me to go back and get my MPH. Like there's a lot of ways to do this. I really don't like people buying a graduate degree. To me, a graduate degree should be paid for by an employer and it should help you move up in the field that you're trying to get your graduate degree in. So it's very much math driven. Like undergraduate, it's like one springboard, but graduate degrees are all math. What am I going to earn? Like that's why you're doing it. Unless you're like secretly a billionaire and you're just doing studies for the love of education, like that's cool, but it doesn't sound like that. So math. Go figure out what you're going to earn, what the result of that is. Quantum, once I switch into IBR, anything else I need to do? You need to make your payments until they give your loans forgiveness. And then if you go beyond the 25 years, you should get a refund. But expect to make a few months of payments before they catch up. Quantum, you saw the other commenter said that they were at 309 payments. They're not moving fast here. Like, I don't want to like make it sound like this is going to be like an instant thing, but IBR is the only way you're going to get that forgiveness that you deserve. You can't get it at all in SAVE. It's literally blocked by the courts. Like, so. Mistina, what if they come up with another plan and our interest capitalizes after switching around? The next time that we will ever expect to see a new student loan repayment plan is in 2030. That'd be the earliest that they logistically could, because that would require a new House, a new Senate, a new president, sign it all into law, take effect in a year, 2030. With that being said, the only time, Mistina, your interest capitalizes is there's 3 capitalization events. Leaving deferment. So in-school deferment is like the big one that kind of hits everybody. Like you finish school, you leave deferment, your interest capitalizes. You consolidate, most people shouldn't, but consolidation capitalizes. And number 3 is leaving IBR. That's it. Leaving SAVE, leaving WRAP, leaving pay, none of those capitalize anything. So I also think that genuinely interest capitalization is like a scary buzzword that's thrown around inappropriately and overblown. Like it's not something that most people need to worry or care about. Zixter, how often do we have to recertify our income? Every year. It's the same no matter what plan you choose, every year. Liv, will IBR be available after 2028? Yes, it will be. IBR is the plan that like exists into the sunset. The reason it exists into the sunset and the other ones don't is IBR was passed into law by Congress, just like the new upcoming RAP plan was. ICR, pay as you earn, SAVE were all executive actions, and that's why they're getting nixed. Moab, again, it's a math calculation, though. What are you making now without it? That's the real question. What are you making now without the MPH? Because you're just spending money for it. Liv, IBR is 20 years if you borrowed your first student loan after 2014. If you borrowed before 2014, it's 25 years. And that's just a time thing. It's not a anything you can do to choose that one. You either had a student loan or you didn't. Joey, if we switch out of IBR or ICR now, we'll be able to switch to WRAP this summer. You can absolutely do that. You can go to save to IBR now and then WRAP this summer. I would choose ICR or pay if you're trying to switch again, just because you, like we were just talking, we don't have a capitalization event. I would also maybe just do a one-time thing. I would go run the WRAP calculator, Joey, and just see which one's better, and just go right there and maybe spend my next 6 months like paying off other debt, building up an emergency fund, fully funding my Roth IRA, whatever. I wouldn't make two jumps, but hey, you can. Just saying you don't have to. Kendall, Farm School, May 2026. Should I be when I graduate? The best program. Kendall, the real question comes down to what is going to be your goal. Is your goal going to be repayment? Or are you going to attempt to get into some type of public service loan forgiveness? You're going to work at a hospital, a nonprofit health group, like where are you going to work, right? With that being said, if you're going to go for public service loan forgiveness, you have the choice of IBR or RAP. Whichever gives you the lowest monthly payment is the program you choose. That simple. If you're paying off your student loans because you don't qualify for any type of forgiveness, you can choose any of them. The standard plan, you can choose RAP, IBR, but your actual goal is to just throw as much money as you humanly can at those loans and pay them off. Those are kind of the two options there. It's the payoff path, the forgiveness path. User consolidated in 2018. Why does my forgiveness counter only start in 2018? Because that's when your loan started in 2018. You consolidated before there was any kind of waivers or things that helped you avoid what you just did. But every time you consolidate, you take out a new loan. And the new loan deletes your old loans. So as far as the government's concerned and your loan servicers are concerned, you've only had a loan since 2018, user, and that's why it's a thing. And that's why, again, we say don't consolidate your loans unless you know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. Are they getting rid of ICR? Violet, yes, they are getting rid of ICR. ICR goes away in 2028. We believe they are going to stop enrollment in ICR in 2027, and then they're going to push you out after that. So IBR, Liv, uses your discretionary income, and your discretionary income is calculated as your AGI times one or minus 150% of the poverty line for your state, depending on how many dependents you have. So it uses your AGI with a formula. Mohib, there's really not a great calculator you should use, but if you look for our posts on Is Your Graduate Degree Worth It, we link to some tools that you could use to go figure out if a graduate degree is worth it. Liv, have you seen people get out of triple digits of student loan debt without forgiveness? I have seen that, and it all comes down to the job and the income. So most people, the only way you get triple digits of student loan debt is with a graduate degree. So it comes down to why did you get this graduate degree and how do you maximize the earnings of said graduate degree? A lot of people don't necessarily like the answers because a lot of these graduate degrees are in things like public health, counseling, psychology, challenging fields. And the way you make more money in these fields is to see more patients, do more clients, work in areas you might not want to work, things like that. But it's absolutely possible. Without forgiveness, though, it just comes down to a budgeting thing. How do I bring more income in? How do I spend less income and throw extra money towards my student loans? And maybe doing some unconventional things to make it happen. And if you're younger and without kids, it's a lot easier to do those unconventional things. Having roommates to lower the cost of housing, things like that, just a lot easier. And it's also a lot easier to work more when you don't have kids in a family. So it's definitely possible. It's just, how do you want to do it? What's your plan? Make the plan, execute the plan. Andrew, why is my application getting out of SAVE taking so long? I applied back in August. I would encourage you to apply again. I would encourage you to make sure that if this is what your goal is to only connect to your tax return. Make sure you check the boxes that you consent to your tax return. If you're married, make sure you consent to have it check your spouse's income and make sure it's all done digitally. Most of the time we're seeing that happen in 3 to 7 days if it's all digital, Andrew. There are some exceptions, but generally pretty quick. IDR and IBR is the same thing as pay, right? So Elizabeth, IDR is like the overarching category of plans, income-driven repayment plans. And under the category, IBR is a plan, pay as you earn is a plan, ICR is a plan, RAP is a plan, SAVE was a plan. That's how that all breaks out. A lot of acronyms. I'm still surprised we're going as strong as we are with the acronyms. Emily, can consolidating your loans lower your monthly payment and widen your repayment options? No, it will never lower your monthly payment. It doesn't change anything. Consolidating is bad for everybody except for a borrower with Parent Plus loans. And Parent Plus loans are the only exception to consolidation because it gives you access to ICR. But even that goes away in 2026. So if, Emily, you don't have a Parent Plus loan, just delete the word consolidation from your mind. Don't need to do it. Quantum, why would IBR show as ineligible for me to apply on studentaid.gov? If you don't have a partial financial hardship, it could show up as unavailable for you on studentaid.gov. Or if in your consolidation you have a Parent Plus loan, it could show as unavailable on studentaid.gov. With that being said, both of those things are supposed to get resolved this month. So try again in, honestly, a couple weeks, if not sooner. My wife and I both have loans and do married filing jointly. Which plan works now other than SAVE? Pally Dude, your choice is IBR. That's available right now. And then RAP comes out next July. Those are the two options that you want to look at. Quantum, I think I just saw that. I saw your IBR, you're eligible for ICR. So either you have a partial financial, or you don't have a partial financial hardship, and it'll become available for you shortly. Or if you have a Parent Plus loan, it'll become available for you shortly too. I would say if your ICR payment's 0 or very low, I mean, you can do ICR. It's the same deal. But ICR is typically not. So I would wait it out. Just wait it out. All right, guys, we are on the home stretch of the evening. IBR, Liv says, is IBR available for anyone regardless of hardship? It will be. It will be. It's supposed to be available now. They're having technical difficulties making it available now. And so it will come about in the next month or two. We're waiting for them to fix the system updates to make it happen for everyone regardless of financial hardship. I'll see that question there. If you guys are just joining us, we're going to go for like another minute or two. I'll answer your last question. So put them in the chat if you want me to get them, and we will finish them up. Liv asks, what is hardship? So partial financial hardship means that your income-driven repayment plan has to be lower than what you should be paying under the standard plan. If you don't have a partial financial hardship, previously, and this is before the One Big Beautiful Bill, you couldn't enroll in IBR. And it kind of made sense, right? Like if your standard plan was lower, enroll in the standard plan. Now, after the One Big Beautiful Bill, and you have that, you can enroll in IBR even if you don't have a partial financial hardship. Why would you want to? Well, public service loan forgiveness. As Quantum was waiting on long-term loan forgiveness. You want to get that because you need that loan forgiveness. Not for any other reason, really.